Modern dating can leave you feeling hopeless, endlessly swiping through profiles until your thumbs sore, having these conversations that seem like they're going somewhere, and then nothing. Poof, gone. People act interested one day and ghost you the next. And here's the kicker. Nobody wants to seem like they care too much, so we all end up playing it cool, even when we are not feeling cool at all. After dealing with this over and over, something inside you just dims. You don't even realize it's happening. But then, out of nowhere, something different happens.
You meet someone who actually gets your attention. Like, really gets it. Not just their hot attention, but the kind where you're genuinely curious about them. What's their deal? What makes them tick? And the crazy part? They seem to feel the same way about you. When you've been through the ringer so many times, this feels, I don't know, almost fragile? Like you're holding something precious and you're terrified of screwing it up. And honestly, this is usually when everything goes sideways. Not because the connection is bad, it's actually because it feels good. Too good, maybe. The moment we tell ourselves, this is different, or this one's special, the pressure just skyrockets. Everything that used to feel easy suddenly feels loaded with meaning. And without even realizing we're doing it, we start sabotaging ourselves. Here's what happens. You stop being yourself. Instead of just existing as you start performing. You become obsessed with making them like you. Your boundaries? Suddenly flexible. That thing you said you'd never tolerate again? Well, maybe just this once. You stare at your phone, typing and deleting the same message 17 times. You replay every conversation in your head like you're looking for clues. The whole thing shifts. It's not two people getting to know each other anymore. It's you trying to win them over. They become the prize. You become the contestant. And when that happens, you lose something really important. Your sense of being okay on your own. Your confidence starts depending entirely on whether they text back or not. And attraction? Attraction needs you to be secure in yourself. So the more desperate you get, the more it fades. So if this phase is so risky, what are you supposed to do instead? Before I get into that, if you're new here, my whole thing is helping people navigate dating and relationships without losing themselves in the process. I'm not here to teach you tricks or ways to manipulate someone into liking you. What I do is help you develop a better relationship with other people, with yourself, and with life itself. By the way, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe and give this video a like so that other people like you can find it too. Now, let's continue. This stage of dating is tricky because most of it happens in your head. You don't wake up and decide, today I'm going to be anxious and put this person on a pedestal. It just happens. There's this natural urge to impress them, to lock this thing down before it slips away, to not mess up something that actually feels good for once. But here's the problem. Your instincts can lie to you when it comes to dating. You've probably heard all the advice about follow your heart and just go for it and be vulnerable. And yeah, okay, but dating has this one complicating factor. You really want it to work out. When you're longing for connection or love or just someone who gets you, your emotions can mess with your judgment. You stop thinking clearly. You stop acting like the logical person you'd be if you were giving advice to a friend. Suddenly everything feels huge. They don't text back for 3 hours? It must mean something. Their tone seems slightly off? They're probably losing interest. And then you either pull away completely, showing them you don't care either, or you go the opposite way and become that person. The one who's always reaching out first, always looking for reassurance, always trying to figure out where you stand. None of this means you're broken or damaged. It just means you're human, and you're hoping for something good while being scared of getting hurt again. If you've been single for a while, like a long while, this whole thing can hit even harder. Constant disappointment does something to you. It creates this underlying hopelessness that's dangerous in two ways. The obvious danger is that you just give up. You stop trying. You delete the apps. You turn down setups. You convince yourself you're better off alone. But there's another danger that's sneakier. When you've been feeling hopeless for so long, and then finally meet someone you actually like, even a little bit of interest from them can send you into overdrive. What starts as, oh, this is nice, quickly becomes, this is everything. Then it becomes, I can't lose this. And suddenly you're treating this person you barely know like they're your last chance at happiness. That's when you stop being you. You become reactive, insecure. You're constantly checking your phone, overanalyzing everything. And from that place of desperation, you usually end up pushing away the exact person you're trying so hard to hold on to. Then, if things fall apart, your brain does this thing where it fills in all the blanks with fantasy. That person becomes perfect in your memory. The relationship that never really happened becomes the one that got away. And losing it feels devastating, not because of what actually occurred, but because of what it represented to you. Your hope, your chance, your proof that you could be chosen. Over time, that story hardens into this unshakable belief, and that belief sabotages every new connection before it even has a chance. You start comparing everyone to this idealized version of someone you barely knew. Nobody measures up to a fantasy. This is how being hopeless and being obsessed end up being the same problem, just wearing different masks. One makes you quit, the other makes you lose yourself. So how do you avoid both extremes? How do you care without going crazy? Two things make a huge difference. First, catch yourself in the act. Just being aware of what's happening can snap you out of it. When you notice that thought creeping in, I really need this to work, that's your cue to take a breath. You're not judging yourself here. You're just noticing. You're interrupting the spiral before it takes over. You can even say it to yourself. I'm making this person way more important than they need to be right now. Just naming it brings you back down to earth. Because here's the truth. You can only control what you do. You can be honest. You can communicate. You can show up when you say you will. You can let them know you're interested. But you can't control how they feel. You can't make them choose you. You never could. The outcome was never fully in your hands to begin with. What you can control is how much you invest. Here's a good question to ask yourself. Am I putting in all this effort because I genuinely like them? Or am I doing it because I'm scared of losing them? Are they matching my energy? Or am I carrying this whole thing by myself? When the effort becomes one-sided, attraction dies, and you start losing respect for yourself. Dating is this weird balance between making moves and holding back, between being open and protecting yourself. A lot of modern dating advice tells you to cut people off at the first red flag, the first moment of confusion. But real connection is messy, it's awkward, it's uncertain at the beginning. That's normal. If someone's being inconsistent early on, it doesn't automatically mean they're not interested. Maybe they're stressed. Maybe the timing sucks. Maybe you're still basically strangers and they're figuring it out. Sometimes reaching out again, calmly, without pressure, is actually confident, not desperate. The key is in how you do it. Reaching out again doesn't mean pretending everything's great and you're still super excited. It means adjusting your expectations while staying open. You give things space to develop naturally. And if they keep being flaky or inconsistent, you walk away with your head up, knowing you were real without losing yourself in the process. Which brings me to something important. We need to redefine what success in dating actually means. Success isn't getting them to like you back. It's not locking down the relationship at any cost. Sometimes success looks like staying calm when you don't know where you stand. Sometimes it's giving someone a fair shot instead of bailing because your ego got bruised. And sometimes it's walking away clean. No bitterness, no shame, no regret. Being confident doesn't mean you never feel vulnerable or scared. It means you're willing to be vulnerable without falling apart if it doesn't work out. Both extremes, doing too little and doing too much, come from the same place: insecurity. The middle ground is what I call having a generous spirit. That's when you give what feels true to you without overextending yourself. When you can look back later and think, yeah, I handled that with integrity. Here's a simple test. How much can I put into this situation while still respecting myself if it doesn't work out? You don't want to look back cringing at how hard you tried. but you also don't want to look back knowing you held back out of fear. The goal is to say what needs to be said and do what feels right without sacrificing your self-worth in the process. And look, this doesn't mean tolerating bad behavior or chasing someone who clearly doesn't care. It means handling uncertainty like a grown-up, with calm, with self-awareness, with maturity. Sometimes a light follow-up with no pressure attached is enough to figure out where you stand. Other times, their response or their silence tells you everything you need to know so you can move on in peace. Either way, you win by staying true to yourself. The people who do best in dating aren't the ones who never feel anxious. They're the ones who feel anxious and act from their values anyway. They can sit with discomfort without freaking out or doing something stupid. They get that real confidence isn't about always getting what you want. It's about being okay regardless of what happens. This is the actual work. Not the swiping, not the texting, not even the dates. The real work is keeping your center while staying genuinely available. It's harder than it sounds, especially when you meet someone who really excites you. But it's also the only thing that actually works long term. Because here's what happens when you can stay grounded. You become magnetic in a way that trying never achieves. People can sense when someone is comfortable in their own skin. They feel it when you're not clinging or performing or desperately trying to get validation. And weirdly enough, that's when attraction deepens most naturally. You also protect yourself from getting destroyed when things don't work out. When you keep your sense of self throughout the process, rejection doesn't hit as hard. Disappointment sucks, but it's manageable. You can walk away from situations that aren't right without torturing yourself about what you did wrong. This isn't about becoming cold or detached. It's about caring while staying whole. It's about being genuinely interested in someone while knowing you'll be fine either way. That combination, real interest plus emotional independence, is what creates real attraction and healthy relationships. So if you're currently in that delicate phase with someone new, take a second and check in with yourself. Are you still you, or have you started revolving around them? Are you giving as much as you're getting, or are you doing all the heavy lifting? Are you acting from genuine interest, or from fear of losing what you've barely started to have? These questions matter way more than any dating trick or technique. Because at the end of the day, the point isn't just to be in a relationship, it's to be in the right relationship with someone who likes you for who you actually are, not some performance you put on to win them over. And that only happens when you stay rooted in yourself the whole way through. If this resonates with you, I'd really like to hear your thoughts. Think about whatever dating situation you're dealing with right now and how you might handle it differently with this balance in mind. Do you tend to bail too quickly when things get uncertain? Or do you go all in before you've really established anything mutual? I actually read the comments, and what you share matters to this conversation. Thanks for sticking with me through this, and I'll see you next time.